Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to respond to some of the things that Diego said about me regarding talking with people from other perspectives and talking and debating with people from other perspectives. He is generally very critical of my position on this, or what I've done relating to this, since I posted a debate with an anarchist on my YouTube channel, basically. That's basically what this stems from. So my basic position on this, I'll just get that out of the way before I start the video and respond to a few things that he said, is basically that for me, having debates with people from other perspectives and having discussions with them helps me better understand the ideas that I hold and the ideas basically the way that people from different perspectives, different ideologies express and hold their ideas, or what sort of ideas they hold. It helps me better understand that, and by knowing that, it helps me better differentiate my position from that position and gives me a better understanding of my position in the long run. And I do now, the one caveat, I think there's potentially a problem with optics. Just basically the idea that I could misstate some of Rand's positions. I could potentially rationalize some of her positions and make her look bad in the eyes of other people when I'm debating with this person, which I get is a valid criticism. I understand that criticism. I don't think it is as important though, because what I'm doing here is trying to make myself better. I don't care as much about other people. I do care about arguing Rand's positions as accurately as possible, but I think in the future, if I want to do that, I need to debate with people now and better understand my positions, better understand their positions, because that is how I understand ideas as well as possible, as quickly as possible as well. And that's basically what I want to do. I want to adequately challenge my premises, my subconscious premises that are negative, by hearing other people espouse them in their most consistent form and most strongest form, basically, and basically argue against those and argue verbally, argue directly, and see how they respond, because that allows me to get deeper into my arguments and better understand my arguments. And yeah, basically, now, the problem of optics is not as big of a problem right now when I'm very small, relatively, because I think I only have, 122 subscribers or something like that. I think that's right, unless I gained some recently, which I haven't been gaining a lot recently, but that's okay. So it's not as big a deal. I do think it'd be more of a concern if I were bigger. I would be a lot more hesitant about engaging in these sort of debates. But I don't think it's as much of a problem when I'm small. And I do think I have a decent grasp of the ideas to where I can debate them and can accurately explain them. Explain them accurately enough, and if I make mistakes, I can notice them and correct them most of the time. So I think largely I can explain these ideas well. And also, this isn't about trying to impress other people and trying to convert them to objectivism. This is for my own personal mental clarity. I don't give a fuck what other people think. I'm not second-handed in that sense. So I don't want to dishonor Rand's name. I don't want to state her ideas wrong, but that's for me to improve over time and to get better at. And that is why I debate with people. So that's my basic position. So let's hear, he was talking a little shit behind my back in this recent episode. No, I'm playing. No, hey, there's no ill will because of this. I respect Diego. Diego's a very smart guy. He's offered a lot of value to me with the things that he's discussed, comedic value with his Anarchy Man video, and probably with the Tucker Carlson video when that comes out. Diego's a great guy. I love Diego. He's a very honest guy. I think I get a lot of value from him in my life.
So
a couple of weeks ago, I had talked about with Garrett taking on debates or discussions with other kind of, I'd say, idealists or philosophers or whatever you want to call them, and I warned him against doing so. It's exactly for the point that you brought up. It's that when you're trying to rearrange your subconscious in an integrated way, You're trying to kick out the bad ideas and put in good ideas. But at that stage of your life, which can last for years, you're still not fully integrated habitually on the good ideas. And one of the worst things you can do is, while you're learning new ideas, is allowing your mind to take in bad ideas during the process, to muddy the water. So what Puya is saying, in a sense, is that while you're learning objectivism in general, each individual is different and each individual can go about this their own way. When you're studying certain principles and premises, you find the contradictions in your mind, you knock out the bad ideas, you take the good ideas that you've learned as dogma, and you completely reject the bad ideas over time. So then after a couple of months or after a couple of years, the good ideas take over. They've become integrated. They become habitual. The same way how I mentioned earlier, I used to think stealing was okay, and I rationalized it. But
all right, so basically, I think the main thing with this, I think basically being exposed to these bad ideas and competing with them, arguing with them, it helps me better kick out these bad ideas that he's talking about by being exposed to them in their strongest form and arguing against them. I think that is, for me at least, that's the best way to respond to bad ideas. It's to hear them out, hear them in their strongest form possible, and then argue against them, find ways to get past them. That, for me, is by far the strongest way for me to understand these good ideas, get a hold of these good ideas. It's to hear these bad ideas in their strongest form and get rid of them. Because one thing that I want to avoid doing when it comes to learning objectivism, I don't want to argue against straw men of the other sides. I don't want to hold in my mind the idea of like, oh, skeptics are this, rationalists are this, anarchists are this, and like have this in my mind, have my own mental explanations of these things, and then argue against the mental explanations that I've created. I want to hear someone who actually believes these things say them to me. And once I can hear that, that's those explanations in their strongest form. And then I can overcome those bad ideas with objectivism, with the good ideas, and argue against those sort of things. And for me, that is by far the best way, because what I'm doing is I'm actually I'm attacking these bad ideas head on rather than evading them, rather than ignoring them, rather than pushing them away. I'm attacking them head on, and I'm defeating them in their strongest form, so that one day when I hear them again, because you're inevitably going to hear these bad ideas again, because we live in a culture where there's bad ideas expressed constantly. I'm inevitably I'm sorry, that word's tough to say for some reason. I'm inevitably going to hear those ideas again. So in their strongest form. So I want to have those ideas in their strongest form in my mind with a refutation of their strongest form, not with some weak form that I've made up in my head. I want to have their strongest form in my head. I don't want to evade that at all. I want to understand that and understand how to overcome that. And for me, that is the best way of adhering to good ideas. So yeah, let's see what else he has to say. I think he was done with the larger point, but he was going into the thing with stealing, which is actually something that I think was of good value. So maybe I'll show it in the video. He might come back, circle around to what we were talking about again, I think.
Time I would think about downloading a song or a game, I would stop myself from doing it, feel bad for not doing it, but over time, not doing that fit with my human nature, with my human values, in a way that I never knew before. So Diego, of 40 years old, is...
Sure, so that's simply integrity. It's basically not giving in to these bad ideas. See, I think the difference is like, you can't like let bad ideas take over your mind and like without confronting them. You do want to avoid that, but you don't want to like accept objectivism as dogma and like force that into your mind and ignore every other idea out there, because then you're not accepting objectivism in as strong of a way, if that makes sense. I think he mentions something later. It might be like in a minute though.
Integrated in a way that Diego of 30 years old wasn't integrated. And I wouldn't have been able to have done that if I always allowed a little bit of poison in with the good. If I said, I know it's bad to download a song, but it's
Sure. So I mean that's simply integrity. So it's not the same as like debating with somebody or discussing different perspectives with other people. That, I mean, for me, that helps me understand so much better these points that Objectivism has made. Because, I mean, one thing that I actually struggled with a lot early on was, I used to think that Objectivism was creating straw mans of the other side. That was something I was like, that's absurd. There's no way these people actually believe that. And just in discussions with other people, it's like you can get them down to that point where they start directly arguing the things that Objectivism says that they would argue by consistency, and that just interacting with these other people, interacting with these bad ideas and challenging them, that for me has been given me so much value in understanding these perspectives better and understanding how to get past them better. I think that's completely different from poisoning your mind with like, just downloading that one song, or just stealing that one candy bar from the store. Like there's a big difference there, because one is directly violating your principles, while the other is directly like espousing your principles and using them to combat bad ideas. I think one is definitely a lot more positive than the other.
Metallica, they're billionaires. I'll do it just this once. If you don't treat the truth as dogma while you're learning, and you're never going to integrate it as a good habit. So, in my opinion, you should avoid arguments. You should avoid people in your life that may provide value in some way, but psychologically, subconsciously, they're going to still kind of keep on filling your mind with questions. The way, as Puya said it, no, you push them aside while you're learning, and then you have to integrate the truths and the dogma over time. For this, I got to put it in this way that most people may not understand this, but
so I don't agree with that. I don't think that you should accept the truth as dogma. I mean, if I did that with religion, which is what people would advocate for me to do at the time, I would not have ever been an objectivist, of course, but I also wouldn't have understood my positions as well as I did. And even now, like I learned so much just from talking to other perspectives. Like I had this new, let me tell this story of at college. So I went to there was some like religious dude who was like preaching outside, this like 30-year-old dude. It was stupid, but so I went up to him and basically asked him a question, and we started getting into a debate in front of a bunch of people, and eventually like it was actually like a very good experience for me, because I got to see him go all the way down to like epistemology and then start directly advocating for faith and a priorism and shit like that. And it was like, holy shit, like now I understand this perspective so much better. I didn't think that religious people were that explicit with faith, or when you got them down to it, I didn't think that religious people actually believed that. And then someone pulled me aside and was like, here, let's have a little discussion about stuff like this. And then he was like, and then we got into a discussion, and while we were talking, I eventually realized I had this sort of insight relating to religious people and pride, and how like religious people use God as a substitute for pride. And that just helped me like see Objectivism so much clearer, just like having these insights from talking with other people. So for me, it just helps me so much just to interact with people with different ideologies than me. So yeah, let's keep going. I think this might be where he talked about the fighting analogy, which I thought was fairly good.
Some people might. When you play fighting games like Street Fighter or Tekken, what a lot of new players do is that they'll jump constantly at the opponent, and then the opponent will punish them and beat them. And these players never get good. What you teach these players to do is you don't jump. You have to learn to play for a couple of months without jumping. What they'll come back to you and say is, yeah, you're telling me not to jump, but I keep seeing professionals jump. Yes, They've learned not to jump first. Once they've learned that, then they learn the proper place to add jumping into their arsenal. So as a budding idealist, philosopher, whatever you want to call yourself, you have to cut out the things you know that are bad, but in the
I'll let him finish.
Future, you'll be able to mentally deal with those issues without those issues muddying up your subconscious.
Is he finished?
That's a perfect way of saying it.
Sweet, yeah. So I really like his point there. I don't think it applies the same to debating. I think you want to it's more about just learning. You want to learn from professionals more or less. You want to not make stupid. You want to, if you're making a stupid mistake constantly and someone calls you out for that, that's something that you have to integrate. You have to think about that and basically correct that mistake. I don't think that applies the same way to debating people. Maybe maybe if I'm making a certain mistake in debating, while I'm debating somebody that professionals can largely make, but I can't make without it being pointed out and shredded completely. But I don't think debating in general is like that, because of all the benefits that it has. I did like that point though, because I think it's good to because I think there's certain things that professionals can do and get away with if they know how to use it right. That's true in a lot of different things. There's certain things that they can do if they know how to use it right, and certain rhetorical techniques in debates. I could try to use them a bunch, and absolutely fail, absolutely get smited down by a better debater. But someone who's a professional debater could easily use them and justify them and not get smited down as easily. Yeah, absolutely. And I like the fighting analogy, because I really like Mortal Kombat as a fighting game, which is very fun. But yeah, because I jump way too much, I think, in Mortal Kombat. But yeah, I think with making certain mistakes in debates, you can do that without, if you don't correct yourself and fix that. But I don't think that applies to debating in general. Yeah. And then this is where we were having our discussion on the podcast. I think there was a point that he made that I wanted to respond to somewhere in here.
Philosophy is not about polemics, and for the first couple of years, you should refrain from debating anybody.
I've made my position on this part, so I think I'll let him talk. And I remember there was one point that he made that I liked. I'm more playing this for context, but there was one point that he made that I wanted to respond to. I'll recognize it when I get to it, but I forgot it right now, to be honest.
Is why with Cropper and other people, I don't debate, because I am not, how do I explain this? I'm still kicking out 35 years of disintegration and integrating objectivism into a cohesive whole into my mind. And if you debate somebody who, let's say, knows their stuff, like this gentleman in the chat, this guy P.S. Burton, obviously knows what he's talking about, right? So you may know some aspects of objectivism, but if you debated, let's say, a P.S. Burton or Anarchy Seeds, or maybe even me, or even who's that Marxist we always talk about, Richard Wolff.
I would shred any of them in debate, including you, Diego. No, I'm playing.
They know what they're doing. They know polemics. Or like a Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro says dumb things, but they know how to argue. For them,
that's true.
It's not about pointing out facts of reality and coming...
So I'm also trying to learn how to argue by doing this sort of stuff, learn these polemics. Because you don't learn something just by talking about ideas more. You learn how to debate by debating. You don't learn how to debate by discussing ideas and not debating.
To who's correct based on reality. It's just about arguing. So you may naively think, I'm going to talk to this person, we're going to suss out our different points of views. No. They come in and they're going to obliterate you with concepts that they understand to obliterate you. And then
So I don't think he obliterated me as much as Diego's making it seem like. I felt like I did have good points there. I think there was an extent to which I was unprepared. I was unprepared to be as confrontational as I could have been, but I think I did have good ideas, and this was a good experience for me because I know what I need to do to debate. I need to be more willing to interrupt and make my point clear, and be more willing to have confrontation with the person I'm debating. Also, I did call it a discussion, which is something that people have been critical of me on. When I think of what a debate and what a discussion is, I think of a debate as more like a formal thing on a stage, while a discussion is more like free flowing, let whatever you say. That's like how I like to have these sort of debates. I like to just let it free flow, let whatever ideas come across, because that's how you can get more in depth with what they actually believe and better understand what ideas that they're saying. So yeah, plus it gets rid of some of the polemics. I feel like it makes it more like interpersonal. It makes it more personal, where you're like not talking more to a crowd than to each other. Because when you're talking more to each other, you're getting more into what the person actually thinks and what they actually believe, and you're adequately responding to like the consistent ideas that they hold, not like some like wrapped up idea that they're trying to give to some audience.
It makes you second guess. Now I got to spend an hour to look up Rand. What did he say, or how did he do this? And now they're occupying your mind rent free. How did he do this?
I'm gonna
now I
rewind
got to
this
spend
and
an
play it
hour
again.
to look.
This was.
And they're going to obliterate you. You second with.
Okay, this here was the point that I wanted to respond to. This is why I brought up this
concepts
video.
That they understand to obliterate you, and then it makes you second guess. Now I got to spend an hour to look up Rand. What did he say, or how did he do this? And now they're occupying your mind rent free.
First of all, nobody occupies my mind rent free. I'm not no second fucking hander. Hell yeah. But like for real, that's largely not something that concerns me, them like getting in my mind and making me think about these things. I view going back to the books, going back to the literature and like reading through it again and like trying to find the answers to these things, that's learning. That's learning objectivism. That's better understanding these points. That's such a good thing. I don't view that as a negative thing. That's absolutely something that's good. You like go and you learn objectives and you learn how to respond to these points. That's absolutely true. That's absolutely a good thing. Now them occupying your mind rent free and making you question yourself, that's not the case for me. I don't struggle with that. I know that what I believe is true, and there's responses to these things that he said. So that I continue to believe what I believe. I know how to respond to these things largely. I just need like the exact terms, the exact sort of wording that you would use, the exact sort of thing, and that helps me improve my debate tactics, helps me improve the ideas that I believe in, and helps me for the next time that I get into debate, so then I can respond to these ideas a lot better. So going back and looking through the literature and thinking, oh, how do I respond? That's a good thing. And it doesn't make you doubt your ideas. I think that's absurd. It doesn't make you think like, oh, what if objectivism is not true? That's not true. That's not what it makes you think. It gives your mind a challenge, and it challenges you to overcome these bad ideas, which you're going to have to do anyways. So basically you can overcome their strongest form now, or you could overcome some weaker straw man right now and save all the effort for later. I'm going to get the effort done with now. I want to understand these ideas as strongly as possible right now, and I want to get better as quick as possible. That's basically my goal here with objectivism and my goal here with debating. So yeah, it's absolutely a good thing to go back in the books. They're not occupying my mind rent free. It's more me just learning how to understand these ideas better, and I'm not second-handed where like some person criticizing my ideas is going to make me question everything. I just hear these ideas and think, okay, so these are actually what these ideas that these people are espousing are. Okay, now I know they're wrong, so I'm going to look back at what the proper response to these would be, or I'm going to look in my mind and think, what is the proper response? So then I get out my journal, write down a few things, and then better understand it later. Or if I can't respond to something right away in a debate, I can like keep poking at it, and eventually I get a good response. And once I get that good response, I can use that in the future. That becomes the response. But you can't do that just by thinking about the ideas. Because if you think about the ideas, you don't know how this person's going to respond to them. So if I just think like, oh, this is something they could say to me, so I would respond like this. Well, you don't necessarily think, oh, this person will just demolish this idea. But when you're in a debate, you respond like that and they demolish that idea. So then you come back with another thing and they demolish that too. It's like, oh shit, I need to come up with something new. And then eventually, after you keep trying, you find this one way to demolish their ideas. And then you have that, which is, I find to be a great thing. But yeah, that was the point in the video that I want. That's the reason that I brought up this video specifically. Also, so that y'all can see my beautiful young face. Nah, I needed a haircut back then. I just got a haircut today, if y'all can't tell. Ooh, kind of nice, huh?
Now, as an individual, maybe that's how you learn objectivism, is that you go out into the lion's den and you're able to not let other people poison your mind. For me, I couldn't do it. I tried it a couple times, and they were living in my head rent-free because the things they were saying agreed with my previous premises. And it would.
So, I guess maybe then we're just different in that sense. I think for me, like basically everything that I just said in the past is what rings true for me, and I think that I have good mechanisms in place for like mentally good mechanisms in my subconscious in place for not letting these ideas take hold and like change me and convince me of their merit. I use them more as like a springboard basically to bounce off of and get to higher reaches of objectivism, I guess, like higher understandings of objectivism. So yeah, essentially. I'm good at for me, when it comes to discussing ideas, I'm a lot better at springboarding off of things that other people say and responding to those things than like starting my own sort of things. I think we're different in that sense actually, because you're very good at like just saying stuff that's on your mind and saying like without prompting, I guess. But for me, I've always been someone who is a lot better at responding than initiating, I guess, even just in like conversations in general. But yeah.
Create contradictions in my mind. So if you're learning objectivism, if you're going to school to learn math, for instance, you're there to learn math.
Hey, that is what I'm learning.
From the teacher. You're not there to debate with other people who are telling you math is irrational.
But I mean, I could debate with people too. Like if somebody is saying something that's not true about the subject that I'm learning, then I can like go ahead and teach them about that subject. Like I do that with my friends all the time. Like there's sometimes concepts in like calc where I'd understand it, and then my boy Simon over here, like he didn't get it. So then I'd like go and explain to him, like, no, this is why. And like there'd be like little arguments where it's like, but wait, is that really true? Like go back in the notes and check that. And then I'd go check it and we'd explain it and like debate it and those sort of things. So I think, and I mean, when I do that I learn the material even better. So, and I mean, it's the same. There's always like someone teaching the other person. So Simon would teach me stuff sometimes. Yeah. All that sort of good stuff. Yeah.
Be careful about debating people. Even if you know the things they say are irrational and the things that you know are provable based on objective reality, they just may have the tools to be better debaters.
I agree with that. I absolutely agree with the idea that they have tools. I want to have those tools too, so that's why I want to debate with people, so that I get the experience, so that I can get those tools to debate with people.
And they may run circles around you like this. So you're in your mind, you were scrambling. I think for things to say with this guy.
Garrett, you had your turn. Go ahead, Diego.
So yeah, thanks, Rutger. So in this debate, you were scrambling to be.
God, they never fucking let me talk. Wow, they just would shut me down every time. God.
True, you were scrambling to be correct.
I'm playing, by the way.
Correct, but he was just taking what you're saying and just. Thank you for providing my argument for me. You say the basis of, because he said in his video, you said the standard is life. You didn't go any deeper than that. So he picked up on it and then said, I agree, the standard is life, which is why.
Yeah, okay, so my issue, I could have gotten deeper with life. I could have, in the specific context of the video, I could have gone deeper with life and explained like why self-ownership is just an irrational a priori principle, and why like saying that just because you have control of your body doesn't mean that that's like a moral claim to why you should have control. That's just like, or why you should be able to like have ownership of yourself, essentially. Yeah, I could have gone deeper into that, but yeah, I didn't, and that was a mistake. And that means that I learned from you can learn from the mistake, and next time that I deal with those sort of things, I have a better way to respond to them.
Self-ownership is a valid concept. So he took the things you were saying, applied libertarian trash to it, and then danced around you. So
that was also very early on in the video where I was not like as willing to like argue with him and stuff. Once we got into the video, I started shredding him in debate. In the last half of the video, I murdered him. It was over. I raped this man in debate. This man, no, I'm like, oh my god. Objectivism is the truth, and anarchy always falls short. But once we got into political stuff, which I actually probably understood a little better, I did a lot better in the debate. And I think optically, the first half of the debate might not have looked so good for my part, because I probably misstated some things. I probably wasn't perfectly prepared, but it's a learning experience. You learn from that. So yeah.
I enjoyed the talk, but I saw it for what it was, and that's why I didn't bring it on to the show, or I didn't bust you out in the back for it, because, like me, people can watch any of these videos and bust me out on things. I put myself out like that, but for you, just be careful out there.
I do know.
Oh, and then Kirk's going to talk about the Celtics fan thing. So then we kind of got away from this specific topic. So yeah, I mean, that's essentially all that I had to say on this video in particular. I think I argued my side pretty well of why debating is okay. And I mean, if I get a chance to debate with anyone, I will go ahead and debate with anyone. I'm not scared of these like irrational ideas getting into my head. I don't fear that so much. I think that I have tools in my head to argue against them and overcome them. And yeah, I mean, if Destiny wanted to debate me, I'd go and debate him. If Nick Fuentes wanted to debate me, I'd go and debate him. If Ben Shapiro wanted to debate me, I would go and debate him. I mean, partially too, it could be to get my name out there more, so that more people are hearing these ideas. But also, the bigger part of it is so that I can understand these ideas better and understand how to argue these ideas better. So yeah, I think that is ultimately all I have to say for today. Thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Peace.